17-2 beginning for the defending champs. Gray dives, Stokes lay. Vegas has 8 on their 8 made field goals. Plum into the lane, lays it in. And Vegas off and running. Here's Plum. Wilson with space. The dunk under in the lane.
So good with a step back, and she can get bouncy. Brianna Stewart knows that, so goes for it. What a step through. We don't see that a lot from A'ja Wilson, and wow, gotcha. And there she goes.
This is Rafik Luzon, and you are tuned in to Nothing But That Sports Talk. Welcome to another episode of Nothing But That Sports Talk. I'm Rafik Luzon, alongside a very special guest of mine. You may have seen her on Amazon Prime Sports Talk doing production work. Her name is Spencer how you pronounce her last name? Santini?
Yes, Spencer Santini.
Spencer Santini, and yeah, obviously you can tell the reason why my mood is like this the way it is. I mean, you saw what happened. The Liberty got steamrolled for a second night in a row in the WNBA Finals against the Aces, which I know as long as you've been working in sports and watching sports, especially women playing in it, you know we expected this to happen. This Liberty team just came together. The Aces have been around for a while. Trust me, I should know. I've been covering them since 2020 when they were in the finals against the Seattle Storm. 3 years in the future, they won a championship. The Liberty are just working their way back to be a title contender. So, what are your overall thoughts of seeing everything come in fruition with the Aces?
Well, first, thank you so much, Rafik, for having me on. I'm excited to be on your show and talk all things WNBA. Like you said, the Liberty just wrapped up another loss against the Aces. This is 2 in a row for them. And, you know, historically, we know no WNBA team has come back after losing at the start of the series 2-0. So this was definitely a wake-up call for the Liberty. Your question about the Aces one more time.
My question is, what are your overall thoughts on the way this Aces season came in fruition?
Good Lord. I mean, to start the season, we knew that they were going to be back in the finals, right? They have such a strong team, such a strong starting 5. A'ja Wilson, unbelievable season from her. We've seen double-doubles. We've seen triple-doubles. We've seen so much from her in terms of leadership on and off the floor. But she's not the only one that is, you know, holding this team accountable and holding them on her shoulders. We have Kelsey Plum, Chelsea Gray, Jackie Young. All of these players are contributing to the success of this franchise, and they have been throughout this entire season. And we cannot forget, they started the season with another amazing player, which is Candace Parker. And unfortunately, she got injured back in July. But I can't even imagine what this team would look like if CP was still out on the floor. So they're dominant with and without Candace Parker, with the help of A'ja Wilson, and of course, award-winning head coach Becky Hammond. So this team is the defending champs for a reason, and they showed it tonight, and they showed it in game 1.
Yes, they really did. Into the stats right now, A'ja Wilson, 26 points, 15 rebounds on 10 for 16 shooting, made a 3-pointer. Jackie Young, 24 points, 9 for 16 shooting, had 8 rebounds, 4 assists. Chelsea Gray didn't score as much as she did the last game, but she did pay about 11 assists. This ball movements, this offense, we expect this to happen. I'll admit that. If you came on a podcast so many times, you know I hyped up the New York Liberty all year long to finally put the nail in the coffin. We picked up Brianna Stewart and got Jocko Tosa to trade. I would have settled for just winning the first round against the Washington Mystics. Since we did lose game 1. We lost game 1 in the finals and then lose game 2, steamroll fashion. And who better to beat the Liberty 2 games in a row than Las Vegas Aces? Who better?
I just can't believe it, honestly. I thought coming into this game, all right, they put the nail in the coffin with that game 1. They were going to turn things around. They were going to figure it out defensively. And to be honest, the first few notes I wrote down in that first quarter was that we just looked dead. We looked flat. There was no sense of urgency out on the court. And I know that on any given day, any of the Liberty players can step up and be a leader, whether it's Brianna Stewart, Sabrina Ionescu, Benijah Laney, Courtney Vandersloot, but I didn't see any of that leadership on the floor tonight from any of these players. I saw a lot of players hanging their heads when mistakes were made. I saw predetermined plays happening. Strategy just felt very rigid. And when we were making cuts, when the ball was moving, that's when those opportunities came for us. And that's what we saw at the end of the second quarter when the Liberty began to come back. We were seeing that Liberty team that we know can be WNBA champions. And I was really excited for quarter three, but I saw most of the same from what we saw in quarter one. We weren't boxing out. We weren't moving the ball. We weren't cutting. We weren't communicating. And I think someone needs to step up for this team. And unfortunately, when the guards aren't able to do it, it either has to come from Brianna Stewart or JJ. And JJ really showed up for this team tonight. And she was the reason that they even were able to make their way back in that second quarter.
The Liberty only played one quarter, and it was the second quarter. Outscored the Aces 25-14.
You're absolutely right.
Every other quarter they've been beat. Every other quarter, well, except for the fourth quarter, the first and third quarter they were beaten up by at least 50 points minimum. This is just so egregious. But you know what? But like I said, we expect this. I'd rather an egregious loss in the WNBA Finals than egregious first two losses that we've had, or somewhere within the first two rounds of the playoffs that we've had within the past. That's like what 21 years. We have not been in the finals.
That's true. That's true. We're happy to be here.
I apologize if I start getting frustrated, but this is.
We're happy to be in the championships. We're happy, Rafiq, but we have to show up the way that we've showed up for the second half of this season. We showed up like a WNBA championship team. We have not showed up as a WNBA championship contending team the last two games. And it's unfortunate. It is, I don't even know where to begin. I don't know what Sandy Brondillo is saying in that locker room right now to her team. I know she wants to keep them confident, and I know she wants to have their heads stay up, but I'm not sure what needs to happen in order for them to get started again. But we're headed back to New York for this game 3, and home court advantage for the Liberty we've seen from this past season is a big factor for them. They play well at home. So that is a major point and major piece of what I think can get the Liberty going so that they can take game 3 and game 4 and hopefully with that momentum carry it on to game 5.
That's a fact. Even though the Liberty did have more losses at home than they did on the road. Four of the 5 road losses now have come against Las Vegas Aces. We expected this. Let's be fair. The Aces is that team. If they wasn't for the loss in the bubble in 2020, this would have been a dynasty.
Absolutely.
Or at least they're knocking on the door for a dynasty.
Oh, you saw my cat. She made a cameo there.
There's a black cat running around the Barclays Center. We haven't even played in the game 3 in the finals yet. The same way there's a black cat running around your house. Why did the black cat have to show up at dark times for the Liberty? I apologize if I started getting arrogant, but this is.
No, don't apologize at all. I think, especially for this Vegas team, even before tip-off, I even felt myself getting nervous for the Liberty because of how much energy was coming from that arena for the Las Vegas Aces. There was fire shooting out of the hoops. You know, there was lasers going back and forth. There was towels being thrown. That energy is what fueled this Aces team. And when I tell you every rebound, every play, every shot, they are excited, they're electric, they're ready to go, they're fired up. We see it from Chelsea Gray, we see it from A'ja Wilson. Even Jackie Young was like, oh yes, this is my game. And that energy is irreplaceable. And the Liberty didn't have any of that with any of their momentum in this game.
And you know what? You mentioned something about having a better shooting atmosphere. I spoke to A'ja Wilson after we beat him up in a regular season game at the Barclays Center earlier this year. That so-called stupid question that asked her about holding herself accountable for only having 9 points in the ball of Brooklyn. And all she said was she was drafted in 2018 to shoot the basketball, and she's going to continue shooting it. And then now we get to the WNBA Finals, that elusive matchup that was so built up for. She's literally shooting that basketball. Everybody on the Aces is shooting that basketball.
They're lights out, and the Aces played a fantastic game, but they also didn't miss. All of their shots, seemingly Jackie Young, Chelsea Gray, even Alicia Clark was getting some shots up. They couldn't miss. They couldn't miss. They were being contested. Liberty were playing defense towards that end of that second quarter. They lost it in the third, right? You said they only showed up in that second quarter. But when they are contesting, when they are moving their feet, when they're not flat-footed, they're able to get it done. So why can't they stay consistent?
And you want to know why? Because when whole court advantage is literally riding the Aces back, that's going to help the star players help out a lot. Let's just hope let's just hope that these two players have the same luck. Because this one right here, she only had about 7 points in the game one, and in game two, she only had about 10 points. She combined for 17 points within the first two games.
She's too quiet for me.
Wait. Now this play right here, she had 12 points, slightly better than what she showed the last game, but this player right here, she only had 12 points. She shot 4 for 15. Talk about egregious. 2 for 9 at 3-point shooting. You got to get it together, Benai Delaney. I expect you to show up. Sabrina Ionescu, only 10 points. I expect you to play better. Jonquil Jones, she had another double-double. I expect you to play better. You got to show up in game 3 in the ball with Brooklyn. You're going to be there, right?
I hope so. I'm going to try. I'm definitely going to try.
Well, spoiler alert, you might see me at the game, or maybe you won't.
What will determine that, Rafiq?
Media pass. I don't want to spoil. I don't want to spoil whether or not I don't want to spoil it, but let's just say, just stay tuned, Spencer.
All right. Well, I'm very excited for that. I think what you said is right. We expect more from Courtney Vandersloot. We expect more from Sabrina.
0 points on 0 for 5 shooting.
We expect more from Benai Delaney, but JJ, when she's in the zone and when she is physical.
No, I'm lying. Courtney Vandersloot had 9 points on 3 for 9 shooting.
It wasn't her night, and nothing seemed to click. But that's what I'm saying about leadership too. I didn't see anyone firing everybody up, getting that momentum going. And I did feel like I saw that spark when Jonquil in the second quarter was able to finish. When she had 4 players on her, she held the ball strong. She went up, she got that foul. She was hitting the free throws. She was able to get it going for them, but she cannot do it alone. So that momentum, other players need to feed off of her, but it's not all up to her. Other people need to step up, and they need to work as a team to make this game 3 a different situation.
And they also have to get more points for the bench because, come on now, Kyle Thornton only had 2 points off the bench. Stephanie Dolson only had about 2 points. Maria Johannes only made 1 3-pointer all game. Joshua Willoughby only had 2 points, but didn't make a field goal. They need more bench production. They need to slow down the ball movement. The Las Vegas Aces just encountered their ball movement well. I spoke to Benai Delaney not too long ago. She said that we can't harp on what happened yesterday because we know we can bounce back from this. Did you bounce back? Did you bounce back?
It's true. I think there will be days where you will have bad shooting days. You won't be able to make shots, but what you can control is your defense. And the Liberty couldn't control that tonight either. A little bit in that second quarter. We're going to call it the holy quarter. It's flat. There's no communication. They're switching screens a little bit, but the Aces are still able to get it done, still able to get to the hoop. Kelsey Plum under massive players like Jonquel Jones and Breanna Stewart. They're still able to get it done, and that can't happen. We can't be giving away easy baskets, easy layups for these guards.
You can't, and Breanna Stewart can't give up that up and under scoop shot that she gave up Asa Wilson in the second quarter. You can't have that. You fell for that play. What was that, Breanna Stewart?
The highlight reel for this game, Rafiq, is going to be unreal for the Aces. I don't know if I can pick out a particular play for the Liberty that deserves highlighting from this game. Can you?
Nope. The only highlight is Jonquel Jones having a double-double. That's it. That's very impressive. Jonquel Jones is one win away from being 0-3 in the WNBA Finals in her career. That matches the worst record by a WNBA player since H. McCautry went 0-4 in the WNBA Finals. 3 of the losses came against the Atlanta Dream.
But she now holds the single most double-doubles in the postseason, which I believe is tallied now to 8. So she has 8 double-doubles in the post for a single season. That's incredible.
Yeah. Now, assuming the season ends this Sunday, I'm going to thank the New York Liberty for giving us a season the most incredible season imaginable. I got to go to the game against Chicago Sky back in June. Unfortunately, we lost that game, and obviously, you followed the Liberty all year. Unfortunately, we got to thank the New York Liberty and give him praise for as heated as I am for the way they lost the last few nights. I got to thank the New York Liberty for giving us a season. Breanna Stewart, Stu York was sensational. Sabrina Ionescu, she had a phenomenal year, won a 3-point shootout. Had her moments. Jonquel Jones, she started off egregious, but actually worked her way towards getting adjusted to the Sandy Bardot system. We got to thank the New York Liberty for the type of offense and also showing that they've had all year and giving us a season we will never forget.
Absolutely, we do. I mean, whether they get to a game 5 or not, if they lose on Sunday, like you're saying, this has been an incredible journey for the New York Liberty from start to finish. I mean, the additions that you said, Breanna Stewart, Jonquel Jones, we're going to see this team again. We're going to see them in the finals again. The Liberty haven't been in the finals since 2002. We are now seeing a super team of very talented players who are just finding themselves. The Aces have had a few years and a WNBA championship to figure it out. This is us year 1, just getting it going. You will see this team again in the finals.
Exactly. Some players have already gotten some contract extensions up until 2025 at least. And we'll get more than 2025 maybe because something will happen in 2025 that will shake up the WNBA landscape. But yeah. This is going to be incredible. Yeah, too bad that what you're doing right now that Amazon Prime Sports Talk may not be around to cover it, which we'll transition into right now. As I read an article that after over a year, Amazon Prime Sports Talk, our channel on Amazon Prime, will officially get canceled out. When you found that out, what went through your mind, and why?
Absolutely. So I joined Embassy Rose production team to start working on Amazon Sports Talk about a year ago. And I was very excited because this was my first professional opportunity to be involved in sports media. I had been involved in sports my entire life and involved in media, but this was the first time that they were coming together for me in my professional career. And I was so thrilled. by the opportunity to be producing live television, live streaming. It was extremely hard to hear the news about Amazon Sports Talk not moving forward for a second season. But I have to tell you, I work with some of the most hardworking people in this industry.
Natalie Burks, Kerry Champion, Christina Williams was on a couple times. Miles Ehrlich was on a couple times. Even though
absolutely,
but it still counts.
I work with some of the most hardworking people I know, and what's keeping me positive, Rafiq, is knowing that we were able to come together and create amazing content for a year, and that those relationships won't end for our last show with Amazon Sports Talk. We're going to keep producing content. Maybe it's elsewhere for another platform, for another network, YouTube, social media, what have you. But we have come together, all different perspectives, all different walks of life, to talk about how sports impacts society, the ways in which we connect with sports. We've given women's sports a platform. We've seen a surge in viewership in women's sports, and that has been a huge part of the type of content that I have had the pleasure of producing for Sports Talk. So we have made incredible strides as a team and as a production company. And that is something I'm going to carry with me once Sports Talk is over.
Yeah. Do you know the final dates?
I do not. I know that we will probably be ending at the end of October. So by the end of this month.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I really apologize that everything was literally short-lived. I mean, 1 year, a lot could be done in a year when it comes to creating this platform. And to be fair, this is the first time Amazon Prime actually came up with something like this. And I've had Chris Williamson on the show, another person that you work with, by the way. I've had Chris Williamson come on the show earlier this year. We talked about how this was really a breath of fresh air. And if you want to be that so-called arrogant sports creator, you got to go to First Take. You got to go to Undisputed. Don't come here. You got to be, you can be energetic, you can be whatever you want, but you got to be more humble when you talk sports with some of the most phenomenal names in the industry. Yeah, even Amani Toomer managed to become a big name favorite too. And I've actually been connected with people and been interviewed for a job, which I'll get into more when we get off the air. Yeah, I don't want to say too much out, but this just shows how tough it is to get into this industry.
Absolutely, it's super competitive, but we signed up for it. This is what we want to do. We want to tell these stories. We want to be a part of these leagues, these conferences, whatever sport you're connected to. And if you're really dedicated to what you do, you will find a way to get into it, whatever it is. So it's not the end. It's, it is the beginning. And we will always, have fond memories. Here's my cat again of Amazon Sports Talk.
Oh, actually, it's a brown cat. There's a brown cat running around Amazon Prime too, with it coming to an end.
She's making her guest appearance, her guest cameo one more time. But yes, it was an incredible experience, Rafiq, and I can't say enough about the team and the people that I worked with. And I'm just very grateful and very thankful that I got to do it.
Yeah, and one of the stuff that you worked on is Thursday Nights with the W with Ari Chalmers and Dee Richards. Ari, her along with Christina Williams were my first special guests on the show way back in 2018 before she grew into the woman that she is today. Like, why don't you just talk about the whole experience of working with her and coming up with that Thursday Nights with the W?
Yeah, absolutely. I was so excited when the producing team came to me and said, hey, we want to create a exclusive WNBA segment every week before the Prime Video feature game. And we don't want anybody else to do it but you. And a little bit of backstory with that, I voiced to them that I grew up playing basketball. I started playing basketball when I was 6 years old, and I played all the way up until my senior year of high school. I desperately wanted to play in college, but unfortunately it didn't work out. And I was always very connected to the game of basketball. I coach youth basketball now, and I coached AAU previously. So I'm still very much connected to the game of basketball and have been for my entire life. And I voiced that to the production team when I started with Amazon Sports Talk. So when this opportunity came around to be a part of this WNBA segment, I was ecstatic. And I was even more excited having Ari and Didi on because they are two of the most charismatic, fun, knowledgeable, smart women that I have had the pleasure to meet in the last year. And they showed up every day with ideas. We talked about research, different ways that we could produce the segments, you know, and they really brought a lot of life to what I wasn't sure was going to work, you know, for live TV or live streaming. They were both in different parts of the country when we were shooting this. So it was entirely digital, like via Skype and Zoom. So I was worried about the connection and whatnot, but their personalities shine so bright when they're together. And that's what really made this segment so fun. Was we were talking about the WNBA, we were analyzing different games and players, but we also got a chance to bring in culture and fashion and different other elements into it that really made it more engaging for viewers. And I had so much fun doing that.
Yeah, I could only imagine. I saw a little couple of clips on Instagram. You guys put together some great content. You guys some great special guests. I mean, it's even some of the people I've interviewed on this platform, nothing but that sports talk. And if you want, but yeah, you literally, I mean, even with the brief time that you had get a chance to come up with that, this is going to bring more future light to WNBA content for many special guests.
I hope so. I hope so. I'm going to repost it and keep talking about it on Twitter. And I hope that we get an all female or male and female WNBA exclusive show. I know we have the pre and the post games, and there's individual segments on SportsCenter and ESPN, but I would love an exclusive show dedicated to the WNBA on network TV. I really would.
Yeah.
Well, so if this is a seed that helps plant that or helps give exposure to the WNBA, I'm just glad for that.
Yeah. Why don't you talk about a little bit about what type of producing that you do outside of Amazon Prime Sports Talk, and what is your future going to look like in this business when Sports Prime shuts down?
Absolutely. So I was a broadcast journalism and documentary filmmaking student in college. My emphasis was actually not broadcast journalism. It was documentary filmmaking. I love telling stories through the camera lens and following different people in their stories and capturing what they were most passionate about. That was the goal for me. I wanted to be a documentary producer. After graduating from school, I moved back here to New York, and I began doing production jobs as a production assistant, production coordinator, doing a lot of logistics and managing crews. And slowly but surely, I wanted to inch my way into associate producing. And when I got the opportunity to work with Amazon Sports Talk, I actually started as a coordinator, which meant I was just reaching out to guests and making sure they had all the logistical information to join the shows. But after a few months, I was lucky enough to get promoted and have more creative involvement in segments for Amazon Sports Talk. So I made that jump from coordinator to producer while working at Amazon. And my goal after we're finished with the network is to create my own content focused on women's college basketball and the WNBA, and also hopefully the NWSL, some soccer coverage, and maybe, you know, join a network or a streaming platform where I will have the opportunity to produce content full time.
And that's what it's all about. This is somebody, and you're talking to somebody that actually created a documentary about a radio TV show, which I will get more to that.
I'd love to see it.
Work that because I'm a graduate from LIU. Excuse me. I'm a graduate from LIU Brooklyn and Fordham University. I did a video documentary talk about WUV, which is the public radio station that I worked at, where I was when I was actually like a news reporter, and a bunch of other skills that you'll probably see when I tell you off the air. But yeah, there's a lot that I've actually done. I've even created a video documentary talking about the NPR affiliate radio station that I've done some work at during my time at Fordham University. So I have a bit of understanding of what it takes to create content. This is my life.
It's hard. It's really hard. It's difficult to pull resources. It's difficult to find stories sometimes. And when you're the storyteller and you're investigating and you're researching, it's a lot of work. And not just physical work, it's emotional work. I find that when I'm invested in a project, I am invested 100%. I give it my all, emotionally, physically, mentally. I put everything that I have into those passion projects. And I think that is what is going to keep me on this path of producing. Is it just makes me feel very fulfilled, and I'm just grateful to be doing it.
Yep. And I'm glad I finally got a chance to speak with you about it, because you managed to take time off your schedule to come on this platform. And and I don't just do during the day. I do like night recordings too, depending on people's schedule. I'm very flexible like that.
No, I so appreciate your patience, because work has been crazy, and figuring out what's going on with Amazon has been a little bit of a difficult thing to manage. So I appreciate your patience and your time, and I really enjoyed being on your show.
Yeah, and hopefully we get to continue doing more shows like this in the near future. I mean, well, obviously now that, of course, obviously now you're going to be back on the job hunting search when everything's shut down. But as you mentioned, you're doing more video documentary stuff, so of course you're gonna have something to keep you occupied. And women's college basketball season's coming up, so make sure you create content for that.
Yes, that is going to be my focus the next couple of weeks. So I will definitely keep you posted, and I'll be posting on Twitter and TikTok and hopefully all the platforms. So you will definitely see me on there.
Yes, we will. Now, getting back to WNBA Finals, do we expect the New York Liberty to force a Game 4 this Sunday?
Absolutely, we do. Absolutely, Rafiq. I have faith in this team. I have faith in what a home court advantage can do for us. I think I'm not worried about offense. I know the offense will come. I have to say a quote from one of my favorite coaches, Pat Summitt, and that is, offense wins games and defense and rebounding wins championships. And that is the theme of this game on Sunday. If the Liberty can get that done, they will force that next game, that Game 4. So that's what I'm hoping for them.
Yeah, the Liberty do need to step up their defense more. I mean, the offense, they didn't really show up, but they didn't really show up as much. But when they do show up, they could be clicking, but they have to get better on the defensive end.
I think when they feel confident in their defense, the offense will build, and vice versa. If we can get it done on offense, that will sway the momentum on defense. But I really do think, I feel it in my gut as a coach, that if they can get this done, it will be a game changer, literally.
Yeah, literally. Well, continuing the sports conversation, why don't you tell a little bit about any interest you have outside of women in sports?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I watch college football. I watch NFL. Like I said, growing up, I played a lot of sports. I played field hockey, basketball, lacrosse, and I'm a runner. So I will watch any and all sports, honestly, even if it's, obscure sports, archery, bowling, whatever it is, whatever is on TV. Honestly, I will turn it on and I will watch. I've always had a competitive nature because of my involvement in sports. So I love watching other athletes compete. Other interests, I'm very interested in what this NBA season is going to hold for us. And I have been looking at the Bucks. I've been looking at the Sun. I'm interested to see what Damian Lillard does this season. And yeah, I'm mostly devoted to women's sports, but I'm not anti-men's sports.
That's really nice to know. Well, we got we'll continue the conversation about women in sports. Like we do have women's college basketball season coming up, and last year LSU's women's basketball team won a national championship after stopping Caitlin Clark's Iowa Hawkeyes. Do you expect the LSU Tigers to repeat as champions?
That's a great question, Rafiq. LSU will definitely get to the Final Four, in my opinion. The team that I have my eyes on is UConn right now,
Beckers.
With the return of Paige Beckers and Azzi Fudd. That team is deadly, and we know how good their coaching is. So I'm very interested to see how they compete this year. And also, because of LSU's new addition, Haley Van Lith, that will be a monumental shift to an already amazing team. So they lost a few players, obviously, to the WNBA draft, but having Haley Van Lith in there in the mix, I definitely think they're going to get to the finals.
Yeah, I see some video footage of people and some people I follow that showed footage of Haley Van Lith. Like, why don't you tell me how good she is from your perspective, and am I going to see any high popping 3-pointers and layups from her?
Absolutely. Well, I was just talking about how competitive I was as a player and an athlete. I could not even compare my competitiveness with Haley Van Lith. In the finals last year, I mean, the girl had bruises up and down her legs from how hard she was fighting for the ball. She was on the ball so hard. It was, you couldn't separate her in any way. She was everywhere she needed to be at every specific time that she needed to be there. And she was all over Caitlin Clark. She gave it her all, even though Louisville wasn't a top contender. She just shows a lot of heart and a lot of hustle and grit. And I think that type of emotion really fuels the best players to perform their best.
And that's what it's all about. I mean, when you watch women's college basketball, you expect it to show out. You expect Angel Reese to continue blocking shots in the paint and scoring in the will. You expect Paige Beckers to ball out and show out with silver crossovers and jump shots. With Aaliyah Boston playing in the NBA for a weak Indiana Fever team, but obviously that team's going to develop over time. We also expect Caitlin Clark to continue putting up 30 balls and 40 balls all season long. This women's college basketball season is going to be ridiculous. Games
are already sold out, Rafiq. We haven't even started our preseason, and games are already sold out. It's incredible. It's incredible. This has been the most watched. This was the most watched NCAA finals for women. This was the most watched WNBA finals since 2000 for the WNBA. These numbers are soaring through the roof. People want to watch women's sports. People are invested in these players, in these storylines, in these teams. And people want to see it. And these players have got game. So I have no doubt that it's going to be an amazing season for all of these teams, not just in terms of high level play, but also in terms of engagement.
Very, very strong engagement. And hey, not too long ago, I just found out today I had a sold out volleyball game in Nebraska.
Yes, most viewed women's sports event ever. And that happened in 2023. I mean, it just feels like every week we're breaking records for women's sports. That's what it's felt like in the last year for me. And that's why I kind of chose to produce content that was more women's focused this year specifically, is because we have been seeing those numbers change. We have been seeing the shift, and it's only going to get better. It's only going to go up from here.
Yes, it will. Now, I want to name, give me some of your top 5 teams to watch in women's college basketball coming up.
Okay. Coming up.
5-1.
5. Okay, 5-1. One being the best.
Mm-hmm.
One being the best. I definitely have to say LSU. I'm going to go in no particular order here because I feel like before the preseason, I don't really want to make my picks, but I will say LSU, Stanford, UConn. I think Tennessee is going to have a much better year this year. And I'm going to throw a wild card in there. I'm going to go UCLA to watch.
Yeah. What about North Carolina? They do got that girl Deja Kelly.
That's true. And I don't want to not say South Carolina either. There's so many teams. It's too soon.
Hey, the season hasn't started yet. Don't worry, college basketball's not for another month. But let's just get to the get through the continuous beat down the Aces probably could get to my nuclear be at the Barclays Center before we can get our mind on women's college basketball season. Let me just suffer through another beat down by the.
Hopefully not.
Either games 3, 4, or 5 before we get to women's college basketball. I'm ready for the. Listen, you got me, Aces. Okay, you're the better team. You were number 1 seed all year. The only loss you had all season at home when you don't got the Commission's Cup. That team didn't even make the playoffs. It's another franchise that beat the Liberty.
I think the Liberty are going to have to find it. It's not going to be easy by any means on Sunday, and I'm looking for a turnaround for our guards, for Sabrina and Courtney. Without them succeeding, without their leadership, without their confidence, without their empowerment for their teammates, I don't see it going well on Sunday. So that's what I'm going to be looking out for in particular as well.
Yep, that's what we'll look out indeed. And well, I'll wrap up this episode. Nothing but that sports talk. Thank you for stopping by. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk women in sports with me.
Of course, Rafiq.
Before we go, I want to get your thoughts on the new expansion team that we're going to happen as WNBA. We'll be heading to the Bay Area.
Rafiq, I'm moving to San Francisco. They got a WNBA expansion team. They got the Warriors out there. They got a new NWSL team, hopefully coming there in the next few years. I mean, the Bay Area, and the owners are already saying they want a championship in the first 5 years. I think our eyes are going to be on the Bay, definitely for a WNBA championship in the next 5 years. I think they talk the talk and they know how to walk the walk. So I have no doubt that they'll be able to do it.
Hey, the San Antonio Superstars became the Aces in 2017. 5 years and 6 years later, they won a championship in 2022, and they're knocking on the door for title number 2 after winning nothing during days as the Utah Stars and the San Antonio Silver Stars.
Yeah, and Becky Hammond was on one of those teams. So, I mean, the success of this league, we're definitely going to see more growth. And, you know, they've already hinted at a 14th team. So
which means they could bring back the Portland Fire, who was only around for 2 seasons. I wasn't watching at the time. I don't know how good they are, but they might bring back. But they talking about the second expansion team being in Portland, which means the Portland Fire might make a comeback after folding for only 2 seasons.
They could make a comeback. I'm also kind of wanting and leaning on them to bring Sacramento back because they were the Sacramento Monarchs. And I didn't have the opportunity to watch that team, but
Sacramento Monarchs, they won a championship in 2005 and smoked by the Detroit Shock in 2006.
I don't know, something about, keeping those teams in California. I don't know.
California does have a strong fan base.
I think that could be a very powerful West Coast conference with those additions. Not that it's not now, but I think the Aces pretty much own it at this point, or have. So I'm interested to see how these other teams will match up against them.
Yes, indeed. And for real, we're about to wrap up this episode. Thank you for stopping by. For Spencer Santini, I'm Rafika Lewison. We'll see you next time.